Good morning, everyone. I'm Coach Jeff. Welcome to another workout. In today's workout, we're going to focus on how to prevent and alleviate hip and back pain during exercise, so that even when you're not exercising and you're doing things in your daily routine, you learn how to move throughout your day without causing hip or back pain. We're going to start with two simple tests that we're going to retest at the end of this workout. Our first test is our inchworm or down dog into Cobra. When we get to the bottom of the Cobra position, I want you to identify where you feel it the most. Do you feel it right in your lower back? Or are you able to feel the hip flexors open up into a stretch along with the abdominals? So let's go ahead and test this out. Stand to the edge of your mat. Start by bringing your hands down toward your feet, pushing your hips back, and then walk yourself out into a high plank. From here, we're going to dive bomb underneath, straightening the arms, bringing the shoulders back, keeping the knees off the ground. Shoulders back, chest up, chin up. Now, do you feel this opening up through your abs in the front of your hips, or do you just feel a little bit of a pinch in your lower back? We just want to identify that here. All right, moving right back through downward dog by arching the lower back, sending those hips back, pushing your heels down, walking your hands back, all the way up into a standing position. We're going to repeat that 4 more times. So we're going to go ahead and walk it out, push those hips back, relax your arms until your hands touch the ground, walk yourself out toward a high plank, dive bomb underneath, tucking the elbows in, and then let the hips drop as we straighten the arms, pulling the chest up, pulling your shoulders back. Holding for about 3, 2, and then sending it right back into downward dog, pushing those hips up and back, pushing your heels down. Now when we get to the bottom of that Cobra kind of up dog position, going right back into this 3rd rep, again, I want you to identify if you just feel that little pinch in your lower back. If you do, that's the position of your pelvis and part of your muscles either not being activated or being overactive. We'll talk a little more about that through the workout. Setting it right back up. As we walk up, we have 2 more reps to do as we stretch out the hamstrings, warm up the upper body, and identify sort of where the problem area is through this movement. Holding each position for about 3 to 5 seconds, walking back through downward dog, 3, 2, standing all the way up. We're going to do 1 more. Walk it down, walk it forward. Elbows come in as we go down, lift the upper body up, keep those hips down, keep those legs nice and tight, and shoulders back. All right, right from here, go down to your knees into our tabletop position. So if you felt that upward dog or that Cobra move right here in your lower back, it's normally because your hips lack the ability to fully get in extension, utilizing the glutes to their fullest potential. So we're going to go through a little exercise here to kind of practice what I'm talking about. So in your tabletop position with your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips, we're going to practice going into what's called a posterior pelvic tilt. So for you, just think of tucking your belt buckle toward your face as you slightly round your spine. In this position, pull your belly button up and in and feel those lower abs start to turn on. We're going to go ahead and return to our neutral spine and then right back into that posterior tilt. Tucking the pelvis through, rounding the lower back, exhaling as we pull the belly button in. Going for 10 reps. So we're going to do about 8 more here. Going back to neutral, tuck underneath. Just pretend to tuck your tail kind of underneath your legs. Squeeze your glutes and pull the belly button in. Back to neutral. And here we go. Exhale as you round, pull the belly button in. Inhale, return the spine to neutral. 5 more. So this posterior pelvic tilt that we're working on is crucial during some of our exercises, like our plank. We want to make sure we're in this pelvic tuck, getting those glutes to work in sync with our core. Let's just do 1 more rep here. Again, belly button in, rounded position, and then we turn back. So now we're going to go through that downward dog and Cobra again, and I want you to practice that tuck when we're in that Cobra kind of up dog position. So go ahead, watch me do one if you want, or you can jump right in. I'm going to return to my downward dog by pushing my knees up, pushing my hips up, arching my lower back, pushing my heels down. From here, we're going to go ahead and dive bomb underneath, come up into that upward dog, and get into that pelvic tuck. So you're tucking your tail between your legs, slightly squeezing your quads and glutes with your shoulders back. You should feel a little less of a pinch in your lower back. Let's do that for 2 more reps. So we send that up, downward dog, let those hamstrings stretch, send the heels down, dive bomb underneath, dropping your elbows, pulling your elbows in, come up by pushing the upper body up and your arms into the ground. Stay in that pelvic tuck, squeezing those glutes. And one more time, here we go. Slightly arch the lower back, push those heels down, elbows in to come down, dive bomb underneath, tuck the pelvis, and bring the chin and chest up to the sky. All right, we're going to return to the knees, and then from there we can go ahead and stand all the way up. So just to recap there, we're learning about that posterior pelvic tilt. Most of us are stuck in what we call anterior pelvic tilt. We also call that hyperlordosis, when the lower back is really kind of arched and the butt is sticking out. So again, the posterior pelvic tilt, we're tucking underneath. Now the other reason that we might get some back pain or hip pain during exercise is lack of mobility through the ankles, the hips, and your mid-back. So maybe you've been in the car before and you've gone to turn around and grab something behind you and you feel a little pinch in your lower back. That's the mobility of the thoracic spine or your mid-back. We're going to work on that with this exercise. So put your feet nice and wide, lock your feet into the ground. So squeeze your legs nice and tight and get into that posterior tilt. Pretend to tuck the belt buckle up toward your face, squeezing your glutes. From here, your hands are on your chest. We're going to turn to the right as far as we can, exhaling nice and big. Come back to center, and then we're going to switch. Long inhale, big exhale, turning to the left. Now, as we do this, you want to make sure your hips don't turn as well. A lot of times when you're locked in a seated position and you go to turn your upper back, your hips can't rotate. So you're depending on the middle part of your spine, your thoracic spine, to do that rotation. So let's lock those hips in place. Don't let them turn at all. Arms up, turn to the right. Don't let that right hip turn. Big exhale, get as far as you can, and back to center. Here we go, 10 reps. Inhale, belly button in, posterior pelvic tuck, exhale, back to center. Don't let those hips turn. Lock your legs. We're using breathing to deepen the range of motion by inhaling at center and exhaling as we twist. We're going to get 5 more reps. Again, as you turn to the right, don't let that right hip turn back. If anything, push the right hip forward. And as we turn to the left, think of pushing that left hip forward. Don't let it move on you. You've got 2 more reps here. Inhaling to center, and big exhale. All right, so far we've looked at 2 things, right? Our posterior pelvic tilt, it's going to be a theme today, as well as the ability to rotate through the thoracic spine without moving the hips. All right, we're also going to look at another test of your mobility here, just like our downward dog, the Cobra. This one is our squat test. We're going to sit at the bottom of your squat and try to stay there for 30 seconds. As we do so, you're going to feel where your rate limiting factors pop up. So you might get a little hip pain, back pain. As soon as you start to feel it build up there, go ahead and stand up. But let's see if you can last the whole 30 seconds in the bottom of the squat. So feet are wide, toes are pointed out. Weight is on the outside of your feet, arms are out at center. Push your knees out, push your hips back, and we're going to hang down here for a full 30 seconds. Keep the weight in your heels. Do not let your heels pop up. They're going to want to do so. That's part of your lack of ankle or hip mobility when that does that. Continue to drive those knees out into external rotation. Keep the undercarriage of your legs on by squeezing your glutes, pushing your feet into the ground. We have 20 more seconds here. Let's see if you can hold it. So some of you might be starting to feel a little bit of pain, maybe right here in the ankles, in the hips, or even part of your back. Really identify where that rate limiting factor is popping up on you. All right, here we go. About 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and stand up tall. So again, you might have felt that really built up right here in the front of your hips or your ankles. Again, some of that pain is just lack of mobility. So let's go through how to fix that, starting with the ankles. This is called a dorsiflexion walk. So you're going to point both of your toes, or all of your toes, up toward your face, standing only on your heels. From here, you're going to walk forward and then return walking backwards. Try to keep your toes pointed up the entire time. We're going to go through this for about 30 seconds. All right, go ahead and start if you haven't. Just simply walking back and forth with the toes flexed up. This is utilizing a muscle here called the anterior tibialis. This muscle is hard to train, but if we don't do so, we can end up with shin splints or just lack of ankle mobility, which can give you problems through your knees, your hips, and your back. We've got about 10 seconds more of walking here. And again, you should really be feeling that kind of build up in the front of your shins. All right, again, through the anterior tibialis. We're gonna take one more time back here, just returning to the mat. And again, you should feel that right here in the front of the ankle. Now we're gonna go ahead down. We're gonna continue to mobilize those ankles and strengthen them. As if we're not strong in our foundation and our feet, we're gonna have problems all the way upstream, again, to our knees, hips, and your back. So to work the ankle muscles, right, or the gastrocnemius, your anterior tibialis, and your soleus, we're gonna go through some rotations and flexions. Bring your knee up above your hip. Hold on, interlacing your hands under the knee. From here, we're gonna rotate the ankle 20 times to the pinky side. So big rotation to the outside, bringing it in, back toward you, and then pushing away. Just think of making as big of a circle with your foot as you can for about 20 reps. We're gonna do each direction here. It'll start out sort of easy, but then you're gonna feel this nice burn start to build up in the ankle joint as we build up that lactic acid and help to clear out some arthritic conditions by increasing the blood supply to the ankle. I'm gonna go about 5 more reps here. 4, 3, 2, and then we're gonna rotate the other way. So same ankle, going now toward the big toe. So we rotate over, push the foot forward, push it toward the pinky toe, back toward your face, completing that circle for 15 reps. This is where you'll start to feel that burn build up. Take big, deep breaths and get as big of a circle as you can. And hit about 7 more here. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. From here, we're gonna go right into plantar and dorsiflexion. So tuck your toes toward your knee, squeezing the front of the anterior tibialis, and then push your toes away from you, squeezing your calf and your back of your leg. We're going back and forth here for 15 reps. Every time you pull it toward your knee, that's 1. So I'm on 4, and here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8, about halfway through, 9, 10, 5 more. And last one. All right, go ahead and shake that out. Should have felt a nice burn build up there. We're gonna go ahead and switch sides. So I've got my other leg up, interlacing my hands underneath that knee. We're gonna begin right with those rotations to the pinky side. So we're over to the pinky toe, we come back to the big toe, flex it toward your face, and continue those big circles for 15 reps. And again, every time the foot kind of comes back toward your knee or toward your face, that's the completion of 1 repetition. So here I'm on about 5, going for 10 more rotations. Keep breathing right through. We get about 5 more. And then you can go ahead and reverse directions. Going to the big toe side, then out to the pinky toe, back toward your knee, and continuing through as big of circles as you can manage with your foot. Sometimes I like to think about just scooping out the bottom of the ice cream container, right? A nice big circle all the way around, get all that ice cream out, or fully work the range of motion of your ankle here. Got about 3 more, and then we're gonna go right back into that plantar and dorsiflexion. Pushing the foot toward the knee or pulling it toward you and then pressing away. Here we go, 15 reps. Again, long deep breaths to clear that lactic acid that's building down toward your ankle. I'm gonna go for about 5 more. 4, 3, 2. All right. So right from there, we're gonna go ahead and stand up. And again, just to recap, a couple of things that we've looked at for reasons you might get hip and back pain during exercise or your daily routine. Your inability to get in the posterior pelvic tilt, utilizing your lower abs and your glutes. We've also now looked at our ankle mobility and a little bit of strength. We're now going to look at your hip mobility and your strength around your hips. So to practice our hip mobility, we're going to go through sort of a 4-part series here, where we bring the knee up in front of us into flexion. We're going to bring it out to the side in external rotation. Then we internally rotate, trying to bring the foot as high as the knee, and then we push it back into extension, keeping the foot behind us with the knees aligned. Let me give you another angle on that, and then you can jump right in. So we go up into hip flexion, we go out to the side in external rotation. From here, we internally rotate and bring it around. It's pretty much just a giant hip circle. We're gonna do that 10 times nice and slow, 5 on each side. So let's go ahead and bring the left knee up, flex the toe toward your face. Bring it out to the side as big as you can. From here, turn the foot up so it's as high as your knee. Bring it around so that your foot is way behind you and your knees are even. We go right back up into flexion, out into external rotation, down into internal rotation, and back into extension. There's 2. Continue through. Full range of motion, as big of a circle with your knee as you can here. We're going to go ahead and get 1 more. All right, and we're going to switch sides. Now we pull the other leg up. You can hold on to something for balance here if you need to. Into flexion, out into external rotation, into internal rotation, and back. I'm just going to give you that other angle. So we go up, all the way out to the side, internally rotate, and then push that leg behind you, squeezing the glutes so you feel it work. Up, out, in, and back. Flexion, external rotation, internal rotation, and extension. 2 more reps. And 1 more. All right. So you may have had trouble with some of those positions, and that's just lack, again, of hip mobility. And that lack of mobility can pretty much transfer weight during movement where you don't want it, right? So now we're gonna get on the ground, and we're gonna test the hip strength after just having tested the mobility. So you're laying on your backside. We're gonna go into what's called a hip bridge rock. Now it's super important here that you utilize the posterior pelvic tilt we learned earlier. So pretend to tuck your belt buckle toward your face, pushing your lower back to the ground, kind of pulling your belly button in. From here, we're gonna hip bridge to the top, remaining in that posterior pelvic tilt. So again, thinking of kind of tucking your tail between your legs. At the top, fully squeeze those glutes by pushing the feet into the ground, making sure you're not excessively pushing through your lower back. From here, we're gonna rock side to side for a full minute. So we're gonna lower the right hip as we raise the left hip, and then simply switch. Lower the left hip, raise the right hip. As you go back and forth, you're gonna feel one glute turn on as the other slightly shuts off a little bit. As you go back and forth, you wanna make sure you're feeling this in the glutes, the underside of your leg, not feeling this rock through your lower back. And the way you're gonna be able to do that best is staying in that posterior pelvic tilt. Let's see if you can do it. Keep rocking back and forth. If you haven't started, make sure you jump in. Going for a full minute. If you started with me, we've got about 40 seconds left. Keep your head and shoulders relaxed as you slightly dip one hip down, pushing the other up, and then switching back and forth, only continuing in a range of motion where you don't feel this movement come into your lower back. Just the work transferring from one glute to the other. We've got about 25 seconds left here. Just rocking back and forth, dropping one hip, raising the other, and switching. It's a very small range of motion. Try not to move too much side to side. Just kind of rocking those hips up and down. About 10 more seconds here. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and go ahead, bring that down. So again, you really want to feel that work underneath the legs and the hamstrings and the glutes, not in your lower back. We're now going to turn this into a clamshell side plank. This version of our side plank teaches your body to connect the muscles of your lower body to the muscles of your upper body through your core and your hips, again, helping you prevent back pain. So we're going to take both of your knees, we're going to bend them back so your knees are aligned with your hips. From here, we're going to hip bridge up as we open the top knee and then bring everything back down together. Now it's important, again, we stay in that posterior pelvic tilt. So don't arch your back, instead tuck it under. You should feel your glutes squeeze in this position. From here, we go up and open. Let's go, 10 reps. Push the hips up, forward, open that top knee. Hips go all the way down as we inhale, big exhale up, squeezing the glutes at the top. Again, pushing those hips forward and up, remaining in that pelvic tilt. You should feel this in the obliques and your glutes. Gonna go through about 5 more reps here. Keep the fists nice and tight into the ground, keep the neck nice and long. Let's get 2 more, and last one. All right, let's go ahead and switch sides. So now on my other side of the body, always pulling the shoulder all the way underneath. When we're in the side plank, we're gonna tuck both of the feet back behind you, bending the knees at 90 degrees, the feet are stacked. From here, pelvic tilt, squeeze your butt, make sure it's on in this position at the bottom, and then we go up, open those knees, push as high as you can, down with control, 10 reps. Make sure you're not feeling this in your lower back. Keep your arm tucked under you more than you think. I've got 2 more reps here. Either follow along or go at your own pace. Trying to get 10 each side. And again, really feeling that in the obliques and that bottom glute as we go through that. We're gonna head right back into our hip bridge rock for a second set. So to get in that position again, tuck your feet underneath your knees. Shoulders and head are relaxed back. You're gonna tuck your pelvis by pretending again to tuck your tail or your belt buckle up toward your face. From here, start to push your feet into the ground, pushing your hips up, squeezing those glutes, keeping the belly button in. Then we're gonna rock back and forth for 1 minute. Ready? Here we go. Drop one hip, raise the other one up, and switch. Keep the belly button in. Keep yourself in that posterior tilt. Just continuing back and forth, really feeling those glutes work. A little bit of your hamstrings. So you're gonna feel this in something we call the glute ham tie-in. It's pretty much that little cup under there, right where your hamstrings meet your glutes. Make sure you're not rocking side to side, but rather up and down. One hip is going down, one hip is going up, and we switch. We're more than halfway through this. We got about 25 seconds left. Keep pushing those heels into the ground, sending your hips up, keeping that belly button in, staying in that nice posterior tilt. Got about 6 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, and we're gonna go ahead and bring that down, turning it right back into those clamshell side planks. So if you felt like one side was more difficult in this movement, go ahead and start on that more difficult side. Otherwise, we pull the arm right underneath. Your knees are tucked back at 90 degrees, toes are flexed. You can put your top foot on the ground over the bottom one if that helps. Otherwise, pelvic tilt, neck nice and long. Up and open. Squeeze the glutes at the top hard. Down with control, don't just fall. And right back up. 10 reps. Here we go. There's 2. And open. 3. 4. Driving those hips up and forward. Staying in that pelvic tilt. I can't remind you enough. The body really usually wants to revert into that bad position, that anterior tilt. Putting all the weight in your lower back. You don't want to do that. Let's get 3 more. And last one. All right, we're gonna switch sides. So same thing, knees back, tucked behind you at 90 degrees. That bottom shoulder is all the way underneath. Pelvic tilt, squeeze your butt in the bottom position. We open as we lift. Squeeze the glute at the top, down with control. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling up, keeping that belly button in, keeping those glutes tight, especially at the top, as you push the hips forward into extension and up. 5 more. 4. I'm just going to do 2 more here. Last one. All right, gonna bring that down with control. Now we're gonna go over a single leg extension. So we're gonna lay on your front side of your body. All right, now in this position, you're gonna bend one knee to 90 degrees, keeping the toe flexed down toward the ground. We're gonna try to push the heel up to the sky, squeezing the glute, and then back down with control. Now what I want you to focus on is as you use your glute, don't use your lower back. So I don't want you to end up in this position. Because that means that as we're standing up or doing other exercises, you're gonna again revert to using your lower back, which we don't want. So we're here in this bent knee position, laying flat on our stomach. You can put your hands down and just kind of relax your head. From here, you're gonna go ahead and lift your heel up to the sky, squeezing your glute, staying in that pelvic tilt. Down with control, and then right back up. We're going for 15 reps here. And then we're going to switch sides. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. Kick the heel up, squeeze the glute, and then down with control. Up, squeeze, down with control. Make sure you're not feeling this in your lower back. Do your best to keep yourself tucked in that pelvic tilt. Keep thinking of pushing that heel right up to the sky, keeping the knee at 90 degrees. Again, going for about 15 reps. We're about halfway, we're gonna get 8 more. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last rep. All right, again, you should feel that in the glute, not in your lumbar or your lower back. Let's go ahead and bend the other leg up. Pelvic tilt underneath, right? And then we're gonna kick the heel up, squeeze the glute, and then down with control. Don't go so high that you lose that pelvic tilt. Really make sure you're remaining in that correct position. So we're not overusing your lower back here. Again, going for about 15 reps. We're gonna get about 6 more here. Let's get 2 more just for good measure. All right, go ahead and bring that down with control. Now on this next exercise, we actually are going to use your lower back. These are called your erector spinae. And they should flex sort of up and down. So if you feel this next exercise, straight up and down your spine into your lower back, That's a good thing. You don't want to feel it, however, kind of across your lower back. So we're going to bring your hands, again, kind of right underneath your chin. From here, we're going to tuck the pelvis. So again, not arching your back, but tucking the pelvis underneath, squeezing the glutes and quads. We're going to lift the upper back and the shoulders off the ground as high as you can, and then we're going to return back down with control. Go ahead, up, and then down with control. Continuing through for 15 reps. So we inhale down, big exhale up. So far today we've been strengthening and mobilizing the muscles around the lower back to really protect it from being overused. In this exercise, we're isolating the middle to lower back, really focusing on this spinal extension to help strengthen those muscles. Continuing for your 15 reps. I'm going to go for about 7 more. Coming up as high as you can as you exhale, staying in that pelvic tilt, making sure your glutes and your quads are tight. Let's get 3 more. And last one. All right, we're going to return right back into that single leg reverse hyperextension. So we're going to bring the knee up to 90 degrees, maybe a little past it. Flex the toe down toward the ground. So you're remaining in dorsiflexion. From here, tuck your pelvis, push the heel up to the sky, squeeze the glute, and down with control. It's a very small range of motion again. Going for 15 reps. Really trying to make sure that that movement isn't sneaking into your lower back. It's about halfway. We're going to give it 7 more. Exhale up, squeeze, inhale down. And last one. All right, and then we switch. Go ahead, bend the knee up, flex the toe, inhale, tuck the pelvis, exhale up, squeeze the glute. 2, 3, 4. Going right for 15. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, so now we're going to go right back through that extension in the upper back, but this time we're going to add the arms into it. So put your arms out into a wide position. From here, lift your arms and your chest as high as you can, squeezing your glutes and your lower back. We're going to take the left arm, bring it behind your body, back out in front. Take the right arm behind your body, and then back out in front. Going for 10 reps each side, or 20 reps total. So we're remaining up here in our back extension, squeezing your glutes and your lower back, getting them to work together on this exercise as we bring the arms into internal rotation behind you and back out in front. So just think of reaching back, kind of touching your lower back, and returning. Gonna go through about 10 more reps here. Try to keep that chest up as tall as you can. You're gonna feel those lower back muscles working. Keep your glutes on. Strengthening the whole system here. Let's go 5 more. All right, bring it down and shake that out. We can go ahead and stand up. Now we're gonna go through a little bit of a retest from those movements that we did earlier to see if this helped to mobilize parts of your body and also activate and strengthen other parts to make sure they're working properly in some of our basic movements. Let's start with that squat test again. So we're going to return to the bottom of the squat or as low as you can, trying to hold for a full 30 seconds. And just notice if some of that pain is dissipated from what you felt earlier today. Ready? Feet are wide, weights on the outside of your feet, toes pointed out, arms out. Get to the bottom of your squat and just hang here, nice and tight. So pushing those knees out, squeezing the undercarriage of your legs by just kind of pretending to push the feet into the ground. And so again, what we're looking for in this retest, did any of this get a little bit easier? Do you feel a little more comfortable? Are you getting a little lower? It's still gonna build up and feel slightly difficult for most of us. But otherwise, this routine should have really opened up this movement pattern to feel a little bit more comfortable. Holding here for about 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7. Keeping those knees pushed out, squeezing the undercarriage of your legs in your glutes. 3, 2, and let's go ahead and stand up. Kind of shake that out. We're going to return right to our downward dog into Cobra. Again, this time, hopefully not feeling the crux in your lower back at the bottom position. So legs are straight at the base of your mat. Go ahead and walk yourself out into that high plank position. Start to dive bomb by pulling those elbows in and then up to the sky. Get in that pelvic tuck, squeezing those glutes. Pull the belly button in and arch your upper back to the sky, pushing the arms into the ground. Let's go through that one more time. So we start to arch the lower back, push those hips back, pushing those heels to the ground. Feel the hamstring stretch. We're going to hold this one for about 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and then we're going to go ahead and send it forward. So we go elbows in, dive bomb underneath, tuck your pelvis, squeeze your legs, bring your chest up nice and high, roll your shoulders back. Keeping the chin up nice and tall. All right, returning to our neutral tabletop position. Now you may still feel a little bit of work in your erector spinae. Those are those vertical muscles running up and down. That's totally okay if you feel those kind of turned on and gripping. What you don't want to feel is as we go into this up dog or cobra is a sort of horizontal pull coming across your lower back. So I hope part of this routine really helped you understand how to get in that pelvic tilt and how to open up the body to less affect your lower back and your hips. We're gonna do one more stretch here to really open up the lower back, specifically the QL muscle. This is your quadratus laborum. Good, sit right on your bottom, put your feet out kind of as far as you can without feeling any hip cramp. From here, we're gonna send the right arm up nice and tall, turn to the right about 30 degrees, and then reach up and over, bringing your right hand to your left foot. Try to keep the chest kind of facing up to the sky, and just relax into that. Do about 2 deep breaths, exhaling to really release that stretch into your lower back. We'll come back to center, and we're gonna switch. So we bring the left arm up nice and tall, turn about 30 degrees to your left. Bring your right arm down the inside of your leg as you bring your left over to the right foot. If you can, go ahead, grab on. It's okay if you don't though, it's okay if you're here. Just keep pushing that arm up and over, and you should feel that stretch climb into the left side of your lower back. All right, and this last stretch that we're gonna get into, we're gonna practice that pelvic tilt again in what we call our runner or our Spider-Man lunge. So you can kind of get to your tabletop position. From here, bring your left foot out forward. So the arch of your foot is even with your hands. Then we're gonna extend your right leg back, straightening it. From here, straighten your arms and then tuck the pelvis on that right side. So most of you will kind of be stuck back here in hip flexion. What we wanna do instead is posterior pelvic tuck, like we learned today. Squeeze that right glute as we arch the back. And you should feel that stretch really open up the front side of the right hips. You're also maybe going to feel this in the left hamstrings. That's okay as well. Take a long inhale, big exhale as you reestablish that tilt, squeezing that glute on the right side. One more big deep breath. And then we'll go ahead and switch. So now I've got right foot forward, I got my left foot back. Hands are aligned with the arch of the right foot. Straightening that left leg, we're going to start to pelvic tilt, especially on that left side. Squeezing that left glute, feeling that stretch come to the front of the left hip, and we arch the back nice and big. About 2 more deep breaths. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson on how to alleviate back pain or even use this routine to prevent it from happening in the future through your workouts or just your daily activity. If you know somebody who would benefit from this kind of routine because they often get back pain when they exercise or when they garden or do anything, please send them this video. If you really like this stuff, please comment, like, share with your friends. I hope you have a great day.